Alright, budget magic time, and we're playing some mono blue brain in the jar in standard. And this deck, I'm excited for it. It seems super, super sweet. Pretty much, we just draw cards forever. Play brain in the jar, draw cards, eventually take extra turns, make a billion zombies, and win. That's the game. Alright, island. Might as well get our brain in the jar out there. And then next turn, we can start drawing cards. Rattlechains, eh? Alright, spicy. Take 2 from Rattlechains. Pieces of the puzzle. Alright, I think the plan is just to nagging thoughts, bladed cataract, and then pass the turn so we can start putting counters on our brain in the jar. Man, this is like blue-green flash. Interesting. Well, we are going to need to draw into something. Seagate Wreckage. Whew. Alright. Are we going to be fast enough is kind of the question. So we're taking 5. Kiora. They didn't even activate it. Okay, very odd. Well, let's activate our brain in the jar. Can't cast anything, but we get a counter on it. There's our Rise from the Tides. Alright, Bladed Cataract. Do we want a pieces of the puzzle? I think we pieces the puzzle here. So we get to look at our top 5, take 2 instants or sorceries, because if we hit a 2, we can play it off Brain in the Jar. So we'll take Anticipate and Pour Over Pages? Anticipate and Pour Over Pages. Pass the turn. So we can anticipate off of our brain in the jar. Another forest. So far we have 3 instants or sorceries in our graveyard. Opponent has... Ooh. Kiora into a Jace. Interesting. It's like Bant Super Friends. Scries 1, draws a card with Jace. Well, I guess we take our beats here. End of turn, we Brain in the Jar. Lets us anticipate. And I think we just need the land here. Take the island. There's Engulf the Shore. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So we can Pour Over Pages and then Grip of the Royal off Brain in the Jar. That might be best. Or we just Engulf the Shore. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just land. We can Engulf the Shore, bounce our opponent's creatures. And then we can pieces of the puzzle off Brain in the Jar. So up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instants or sorceries. So that's 5 zombies at the moment. But that's going to start increasing. Kiora untaps the land. Rattlechains, main phase. Jace to scry and draw. Well, pieces of the puzzle. Off Brain in the Jar. We need the Disperse, and I guess just Nagging Thoughts is best. Another pieces of the puzzle. So we gotta do things at sorcery speed now. Let's Nagging Thoughts. Look at the top two, put one in her hand, one in the graveyard. We get a land. I guess Majoring Network. Play Majoring Network. Surge Grip of the Royal, targeting Rattlechains to tap it down. Draw another land. We don't have any 4s, unfortunately. So I guess we just pass, and we're probably going to have to Well, we'll see. At some point, we're probably going to have to disperse the Jace. Dimensional Infiltrator. Vile Redeemer. So we're still taking 5. So we can Surge. But if we Surge, we don't get to put a counter on Brain in the Jar, and we really need to get up to 5 for Brain in the Jar. Yeah, I guess we just gotta pass and hope we stay alive, and that next turn we can kind of go off. Because next turn, if we get up to 5 counters, we can pour over pages, untap our lands, part the Water Veil, take another turn, untap Rise from the Tides on, and that might be enough. How did they do that? Oh, they get to untap both. Interesting. Well, this kind of hurts our plan. Now we're just going to have to bounce something and not add a counter to Brain in the Jar. This might ruin the whole thing, actually. Oh, never mind. They didn't attack with it. Because it doesn't have haste. Okay. So we're still good. Our opponent sort of punted. So he dropped to 1, but that's alright, because next turn is going to be our big turn, hopefully. Opponent draws with Jace. So Jace is to the point of ultimating. We're at 1 life. Can we combo off here? So Brain in the Jar. Can't do anything yet. Ooh, Engulf the Shore actually kind of helps, although the Lumbering Falls can be a problem. So, Brain in the Jar, activation. Actually, let's do this right. Tap 2. Yeah. Tap 2, Brain in the Jar activation. Pour over pages. We draw 3, discard 2. What do we discard? We untap 2 lands. And we have to discard 2. What do we discard? Majoring Network. No, we want instants and sorceries. So, Grip of the Royal. Alright, we discard Grip of the Royal. Then we get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Part the Water Veil to take an extra turn. Oh! Alright, well, our opponent had Clash of Wills. Odd deck. Wasn't expecting Clash of Wills. Well, I guess we gotta bring in Negates, probably, since our opponent's playing counter spells. Oh, that was disappointing. We can go down the Disperse. Maybe a Pour over pages. And a couple Grips of the Royal. Try it like that. Alright, would you like to play first? Yes, we would. Alright, we'll try it. I mean, we got Brain in the Jar. That's something. Island, go. We got double part the Water Veil, which is also interesting. Lumbering Falls. Ugh, so many part the water veils. Well, if we ever get to part the water veil, things should be interesting. We only have 2 lands, though, which is kind of problematic. Island for our opponent. If they can deal with our brain in the jar. Dimensional Infiltrator. Land, please. Pour over pages, so I guess we just have to pass the turn. This might go poorly. Brain in the jar is not quite Ether Vial. Can't really... In Modern with Ether Vial, you can definitely keep 1 land Ether Vial. Not sure it's as easy with Brain in the jar. Alright, I guess we keep passing and putting counters on things. Another Flash Flyer. Another Dimensional Infiltrator. This is an awkward matchup. Opponent gets in for 4. Yavmaya Coast. Well, put a counter on Majoring Network. Put a counter on Brain in the Jar. No land. Well, I guess we just gotta pass. Opponent has more flash creatures. Bounding Crossus. That's a lot of flash creatures. That is for sure. Alright. Hit for 7. Which means we're kind of close to being dead. Especially if our opponent has a counter. Opponent taps out for Jace. I don't know if you want 5-mana Jace in a blue-green flash deck. So I guess we Brain in the Jar. Cast pieces of the puzzle. Get... Oh man, only 1? Oh, we are just running really bad. Storage counter. We're probably just dead, honestly. Yeah? Well, that was horrible.